joining us on the Nikki Maduro Show. It is not officially summer, but it sure as hell feels like it. I'm Nikki Maduro. She's Kim McAllister. How are you, my friend?
Happy June!
I know. I'm loving June. Do we have, and let us know, and hit the subscribe button, you guys, to show your support for the show. Make sure everybody that's listening to our voices right now is subscribed to the Nikki Maduro Show on YouTube.
How many subscribers do we have?
I think we're almost at 5,000, so we're working our way up there.
Was that our goal? I think that should be our goal.
Let's do it. 5,000. Share with your family and friends. Let's get us there ASAP. Summer plans, travel plans, anything sort of plans for this summer, my friend?
We have a lot of summer camps. Julia's taking a couple of classes at the junior college. Jacob signed up for basketball camp, a couple of them, and then an all sports camp.
Okay.
And then I usually have both of them take a math refresher class, just so they don't lose anything over the summer.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I know,
my
they
daughter,
hate me. They're like, no, stop it.
You have to. It really does help them. My daughter, so for the first month of summer, I let her off the tutoring, right? And then, but once July hits, it's like back into tutoring. But then she's doing tennis. And then she's taking singing. And then my son has started fencing, and he does parkour. I'm hoping, I can get a couple laps in at the neighborhood pool. But besides that, we have family coming to California, so that's nice. So it's more of a staycation for us because it's a vacation for them. We have family coming from Kentucky and from Arizona. Cool. The cousins will be together, that sort of thing. My daughter's going to concerts,
When is your next Hawaii trip?
God. Well, I told you, I think I said this last week, no Hawaii. Now all eyes are on Italy. That's what I want to do. So I literally was talking to my husband about it a couple of days ago. And I was saying, and thank you to a Nikki Maduro Show viewer that sent me the email about the travel agent. I appreciate it. We have not started planning because we're still trying to figure out if we can even budget it. Because you don't want to just go to Italy for 3 days, right? It takes you that long to freaking get there. So you want to go for a while. So we got to kind of budget it, see what kind of time off we can get, those sorts of things. But I have been wanting to go to Italy. 4,705 are our current subscribers. We can get
easy piece of cake,
right?
Yeah, totally.
295.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
I'm setting a goal right now.
Come on, let's do it. Get those subscriber numbers up. We love you guys, and we love all 4,705 of you that have been here since the first day. But yeah, I want to go to Italy. I've wanted to go since I graduated college. It's graduation day for a lot of people, or it is tomorrow or this weekend. You know what's sad, and I don't know if you're getting this at your because your niece is graduating, right?
Yeah.
Are you all going to be able to watch it there? Because a lot of people, I know in high school specifically, they only give you a certain number of tickets and then you're asked out and you got to watch it on the Jumbotron or something.
So, yeah, that's kind of the way it is. They give you 6 tickets. But
only 6?
I know. And my sister has people from her husband's family, my brother-in-law's family, flying in from San Diego. So, and they're older folks, so they need the seats. So but they say if you aren't one of the 6 assigned seats, that you can bring your soccer chairs, your camping chairs, and go further back. So you're just not going to be front and center. You'll be at the far back of the football field, and that's fine.
So I will be front and center as much as possible for my children's graduation. But I'm just going to let all relatives know, don't get me a ticket. If there's an overflow room or if there's a live stream, I will host a party at my house for everyone that doesn't have a ticket. Because in my opinion, June, whatever, hot sun baking down on your ass
totally
is nowhere
awful.
I want to be unless that child literally came out of my body.
And you can't have an umbrella to keep the sun off. So you try with a hat.
No.
By the end of it, my face is bright red.
Exactly.
It's awful. Yeah.
So I love the idea of a live stream. And I know that's more of a newer technology type of thing. Dude, I would put up TVs all around my house, cocktails, food, listen to the valedictorian speeches in the comfort of my own home. Are you kidding me? Because most of the people that are baking in the sun are looking up at a friggin' screen anyway, unless you're close. And so I don't know. I'm all for. So anybody listening to the sound of my voice, this is your hint. Just put me in the overflow room. I will help you plan a great party. I will totally do that. But I don't need to bake in the sun unless it's my kid.
Speaking of my niece's graduation, I wouldn't mention this or brag about it or whatever, but I just got this message from my sister, and it says my niece got she's her daughter. Her name is Ashlyn. got several.
Congratulations, Ashlyn.
Ashlyn, she got several awards tonight. No scholarships. They had like a senior award thing.
Okay.
She ranks number 3 in her class, just short of salutatorian. And it made me think about, like, I'm kind of glad. Not to take anything away from the valedictorians and the salutatorians and doing excellently.
What is the difference between a salutatorian? What is that? I don't know what that
It's just
even
the
is.
class rankings and the GPA, I guess.
Oh, okay. So if you
Yeah.
reach a certain level, you become a.
So
There's multiple, right?
Not usually, not in this school. You have one valedictorian, one salutatorian.
Oh,
right?
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's number 3 in the list, so she doesn't get either honor, which is okay, because I look at that and I think she obviously, came within a couple points of those things.
Right.
And yet she had a more full-rounded experience. She was playing soccer. She, was rowing with Marin Rowing. She did all these other things that took her attention away from being able to take the classes at the AP and on every off hour to pump up that GPA and get those awards.
Yeah.
So what is it about these awards that we hold in such high honor that we're willing to sacrifice just like having a good time as a teenager?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Only time in your life you're going to be able to do it. I mean, you could take the Medora way of looking at it. It's like just being shocked if you get, an attendance award. Like and I'm talking about myself, not my children. But I was just like, if they called my name for something, I was like, you are not talking about me.
Did you win any awards? Did you win any awards your senior year? In high school?
Yeah, it was called a diploma, and I was stoked to get it.
Guess what award I won?
I just wasn't. What did you get?
You know how they name best, most likely to be president, most likely to this.
Yeah. Oh,
did you get any of those?
I didn't get it in high school. We didn't do that. In elementary or 8th grade, we did it. Guess what I got?
Most likely to be a lawyer.
No, I got class clown.
Oh, did you really? You're so funny.
Yeah. I don't know why. I can't possibly see why I would get that, but yeah. I got
you're hilarious.
What did you get?
My senior class voted me most spirited.
Oh, shocking. This is my shocked face. Yeah, that totally makes sense. That's awesome.
You think I'm spirited?
I would absolutely. And you're like a cheerleader, right?
So, well, yeah. I guess that was the whole point.
So spirit. Yeah, like, yes.
And then there was
you're also
this
like a good
girl.
Friend, too. Like, I think that you're really good spirited.
That's actually the thing I'm most proud of, is being a good friend.
Yes.
There was a girl, speaking of bad friends, who hated me. She was on the cheerleading squad with me, and she was a year below.
Oh, she was jealous of you.
Oh, she was awful. And we had Yearbook together. And under my picture, where it says most spirited, Kim McAllister, right? She wrote, loudest, most obnoxious student on campus.
In your yearbook?
In everybody's yearbook, because it was in the yearbook print. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Are you friggin' kidding? Did she get in trouble for that?
I don't know. I never complained, but I was mortified. I mean, I was so embarrassed.
Oh, I would have gone
embarrassing.
I mean, it's not like you could do anything about it, but what a bitch.
Totally. It said more about her than me. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My kids got their yearbooks. My daughter's in it. And then my son he was in a couple of clubs at school. But I was like, so are you in any of the other pictures, right? Because it can be hard if you don't submit pictures or whatever. Yeah. And his Halloween costume made it in. Because he didn't win this year. Remember, he was the orange cone, the traffic cone. But so like they had number 1, 2, and 3. It was like a cloud, like a rain cloud, Steve Harvey, and a Smurf. Those were the winners.
Okay.
And they were cute. I mean, they were cute costumes. Whatever. I mean, it wasn't a traffic cone, not. But they did a whole interview with Dylan, my son, and then but he was the first one on the list of things, and I was like, "You're number 1 here," and that's all that matters.
Aww.
Like, because you could tell he was still kind of bitter about the fact that he didn't win.
I remember getting my yearbook in junior high and high school, and I couldn't wait to have people sign it. It was like I was collecting signatures, and I wanted to sign theirs, and I was really into it. Like if you look at, I have all my yearbooks in this cabinet right here, and if you look at all the yearbooks, like every page is full of teachers and students and whatever. Julia, I said, did you have anyone every day? She got her yearbook last week. I'll say every day. Did you have anyone sign your yearbook today? No.
No.
Do you have anyone sign your yearbook today? No.
No.
Nobody does that, Mom. Like, what do you mean nobody does that? Then why did I just spend $120 on a yearbook, which is
Well,
how
for
much the high school yearbooks cost?
Yes. Oh, I know. High school yearbooks are insane. No, and I said the same. Like Dylan had some friends. You know what's weird? Some of them wrote, but I remember like giving my yearbook to my friend, and they would take it because they were going to write this like long letter to me in my yearbook.
Yeah.
Or, like, oh, don't open that until you get it. It was a big deal.
Right.
Yearbook signing was like, and not that everybody signed your yearbook, but you wanted people to sign it, or at least
Sure.
like. And so I looked at my daughter the other day, and I was like, no KITs, and she's like, what's KIT? And I was like,
Keep in touch.
Keep in touch. You're cool. Like, I'm gonna miss you. Like, none of those sorts of things, right? Like, I don't even. Okay, read me one thing. I want you to just open up to one thing. Can you reach it? Kim McAllister is trying to reach for one of her yearbooks. Don't have them all fall on you. Okay. I want to just see how many people wrote in your yearbook first off.
Oh.
That's a gigantic yearbook.
Yeah, it's a pretty big one.
That is huge. That is absolutely huge.
That's a lot of signatures right there,
See?
right? That's the last page. I mean, it's marked up from one end to the other.
Yeah.
Here's this one.
Okay. I thought she was going to be discerning.
This is from Chad Merriman.
Okay.
He had a locker near me, McAllister Merriman.
Okay.
Hi, Kim. I know Steve is in love with you. You should go out with him because he is he is such a stud.
With a Z, C-U-Z.
In chemistry, we had this student teacher, and his name was Steve.
Okay.
Steve was a UCSC student.
Is that who he's talking about?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it was so annoying because you know how pronouncing words is really important to me?
Yes.
Well, Steve would, stand and do the lectures because he was a student teacher. And he said because, instead of saying BECUZ,
right.
he'd say like BECAUSSSSSSS because. And he was explaining chemistry, so there was a lot of becussing. So we used to make fun of him. You should go out with him because he is such a stud. It was great getting to know you in chemistry. Boy, this was a fun class. Good luck. Blah 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 blah. Love Chad Merriam with a phone number. But yeah, and so much
used
fun
to leave their phone numbers in your book so you can let's do something this summer or whatever. I
to
miss
look
that.
back at these are so fun, and it kind of bums me out that they're not and that's the same thing with Marley. They're not signing the yearbooks.
I mean, hers. No, I'm like, did you remember to bring your yearbook to school so people can sign it? And she's like, no.
Right.
And Dylan, the first day,
put your
I don't know if he's
yearbook
gonna
in
bring
your
it back.
backpack.
Yeah.
What'd you say about Dylan?
Yeah, I did. He has some signatures and some people wrote in it, but I don't know if he's going to bring it back tomorrow. I don't know if he's going to bring it back enough to get anyone else to sign it. So I don't know.
This is kind of a fun thing. This is what happens when you go to school in Petaluma. You have the ag page where all the farmers have the FAA page.
Okay.
When you go to high school in Santa Cruz, they have a full-on page dedicated to surfing.
That is
Can you
awesome.
read that?
I love that.
It's all about surfing.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Pretty good.
Yeah, but you get the yearbook. You always get the yearbook because it's a documentation of your child in their class, and I always buy it. I've never not bought it. So, and congratulations again to your niece. I think that's really, really awesome. And
this is the page I'm most proud of in the yearbook.
Okay, what is it?
This is the page of all the things that happened the year I graduated. I had to lobby for this page. It's the news page. Right?
Hey, that's right on the nose.
I had what happened in the Olympics, music, movies, television, sports.
You have to have that.
Everything. Yeah. They don't have
that
anymore.
It, huh?
Yeah, I had to fight for that.
I think.
And then I had to write the whole thing. But
some years I've seen it, and then other years I haven't. I think it's really, it's up to the yearbook committee whether or not they want to have that page. I feel like Marley's definitely had that page in her yearbook before, and I think Dylan has too, but not every year. I don't think they have it this year. I haven't really looked too closely at Marley's yearbook yet, but yeah, then school's out and then it's summertime. And so on the news tip, speaking of news, you have to get your real ID. So when I went to Las Vegas recently, I had just seen a news report about the real ID. And what the news report was then and what it is now is really funny. They keep pushing back the real ID deadline, right?
Do you have yours?
No.
I don't have mine either. I figure I have a passport.
I have a passport if I go and I have to fly. I mean, I don't want to bring my passport, and getting a new passport I think is probably more expensive than just getting the real ID, right? So but you have to redo your passport anyway. But anyways, real ID, May 7th of next year, you're supposed to have it. There's all sorts of things that you're supposed to do. You need to have a valid passport, a passport card. This is one of them. Your birth certificate, a resident card, something to prove you are. And then you have to have an identifying document to prove your residency, like a utility bill. It doesn't seem so difficult. My problem with the Real ID is, one, you can use your passport, so why go through the problem? And two, when you keep pushing it back, the need for it seems like, meh. Well, I felt like there was a need for it. Well, I don't know why. Like maybe to, make sure we know who's in this country. But now it just kind of seems like, like why do we have to go through all this rigmarole just to do it?
I guess we should do it because at some point we're probably going to need it. And
we
instead
will
of
need
pushing
it,
it
yes.
off, we should probably just go suck it up and get it done.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the planned implementation date was originally announced for, guess what year? Do you know what year it was supposed to be implemented in?
2020.
No.
Oh, before that?
Oh, way before that.
Oh. Pre-pandemic, I'll say 2016.
Way before that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. You might be shocked by this. The goal of the Real ID Act, approved by Congress in 2005,
Wow.
was to improve security and minimize frauds in the aftermath of 9/11.
Oh,
The original
that's
date
why.
for implementation
Okay.
was 2008. 2008. We're in 2024.
And we still don't have it together.
Well, then it just shows me we didn't really need it, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, I'm not knocking the TSA, but like the taking off of your shoes, all of that is just kind of this image of safety, right? I mean, it just is. Most of the detecting is happening under the plane and your checked bags, looking for bombs and things like that. But I agree with you, Kim. We should really do it, get it over with, because we're going to have to. And, we want to take care of all the bad things and know who's in our country and blah, 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 blah. But with the travel season here upon us, a lot of people are going to be doing it. So the sooner you get into the DMV, the better. I know a lot of online services registration is moving solely online from the DMV. So keep that in the back of your mind if you're setting up an appointment, which you should always do. All right, let's do a story a little closer to home. I do want to play you a little bit of this news. Okay, I do have it here. Now, this we've talked about many times on the show. And I am, for what I understand of the bill, okay, I'm for it. I have my reservations, okay? But I think that the way at least it's written right now, I like it. I can't believe that it's not in place already. Some people argue it's not needed, but I think it is. And it has to do, of course, with all of those markets / flea markets / vending on open streets, and how obviously those are stolen items. Here we go from ABC7.
Yeah, it may surprise, but it's
Come on, Luce.
really complicated for police officers to cite people for selling stolen items. They need to prove the items are actually stolen. And there's also SB 926, a bill that decriminalized street vending in 2018. That law was meant to prevent low-income workers from becoming trapped in the criminal system. But it also limited what police officers could actually do. Now, this new law would restore police officers' ability to tackle illegal fencing.
San Francisco's fight against illegal fencing operations intensifies. Today, Senator Scott Wiener announced SB 925, a bill that would allow police officers to cite anyone selling stolen items on the streets.
If a person has been cited twice for selling these commonly stolen items without a permit, they can be cited for a misdemeanor the third time.
San Francisco's Board of Supervisors would need to create a list of the most commonly stolen items sold on the streets. SFPD would need to check that list of items before making citations anywhere in the city.
We know that these issues are most pronounced in the Mission, Tenderloin, some parts of South of Market, a few other areas, but the city will be able to use this law wherever the issue arises.
In November of 2023, after what the city categorized as chaos on Mission Street, with fencing operations taking over sidewalks and unpermitted vendors attacking public works inspectors, the city banned street vending on Mission Street. This decision also impacted vendors who did have permits to sell on Mission Street. Now, almost 7 months later, after the announcement of SB 925, giving more capacity to SFPD to enforce permits, the city has a new plan for the permitted vendors.
We hope that by June 17th, phase one will begin, and that will be a return to for vendors from 24th to 23rd Street on Mission Street.
Vendors with the Mission Street Vendors Association stood behind Senator Scott Wiener and the mayor in support of SB 925.
All right, so let's just end that there. I do think that you need to be a legal vendor. I'm not against vending. I mean, if I've obviously grown up in the Bay Area, you see it all the time, and I will even think of a place like New York City, right? I mean, there are blocks, the shopping district, right? I mean,
sure.
there are legal ways of doing this, but if you're gonna plop out a blanket and have deodorant, shaving cream, razors, you need to show me where you got that. You should have a receipt if you purchased it on Amazon or whatever. And if you got it from your house, like you're treating it like a flea market or whatever, then have some sort of proof it came from your house. Have a picture of it in your bathroom. I don't know. There has to be a bar. Like, because it's obvious, again, it's like this gaslighting. We know it's stolen. You can't sell it here. You can't run in a Rite Aid, steal a bunch of crap, lay out a blanket, and make money off of it. It's ridiculous.
There are things that street vendors sell, like homemade custom jewelry.
Yeah.
Or knitted hats.
Exactly.
Or, little crafty items or things you can't get anywhere else. And then there's the ones that are obviously people reselling stolen items. And it's so clear. One of the things I hope they don't do by revamping the system is start charging people who are really trying to make an honest dollar these exorbitant fees to have licenses. Right. I want people that, are trying to make a living, are trying to, sell stuff that they made and come by honestly. I want them to be able to do that, without having to pay every last, half of their take for the day back to the city of San Francisco.
But
so
I would also
hope
say,
they keep in mind,
I think that you make an excellent point, but I'll also say this, and you heard that the Vendors Association was backing this bill. I think it's because nobody wants to come to the legitimate vendors if they have to go through a bunch of drug addicts stealing their stolen goods from Rite Aid. You know what I mean? Like, so I will pay for the permit, and I agree with you. It shouldn't be so exorbitant that it's cutting into too much of my profits, but I also am paying to keep other bad people away. Like there has to, again, be that bar to operate this type of business.
When I was it makes me sound so hoity-toity. I love it. When I was in France, near the Eiffel Tower, one of the things they tell you is be really careful around the street vendors because that's where a lot of theft happens. You have your wallet out or you're standing there looking and, someone comes, takes your purse or strong arm, robs you or whatever it is. And also the people that can stand there while you're stationary looking at items can, if you don't have the right kind of purse, zap your credit card information right out of your purse.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
I forget what it's called, but
RFID. You need an RFID blocker.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that is a really common area where that kind of things happen. And when you walk up to the Eiffel Tower, there are people with these blankets spread all over the place. And most of them are like little trinkets, like fake little tiny mini Eiffel Towers type of thing, stuff that like touristy stuff that you would buy. But I agree. Like you want to be able to see things without going through, what could be a criminal enterprise.
Exactly. And so I like it. I think that it's, I hope it works. I like the fact that they're bringing back legitimate vending in San Francisco because it's needed. All right. It is Friday. I want to do one kind of foodie type of story.
I have a Trump story too. Oh, hi, Nugget.
Hi, Nugget. Well, let's do your Trump one before we do the lighter food
I just wanted to tell you this poll, all right? Americans have more polarizing views on former President Trump than they do on President Biden ahead of the November election. According to a Gallup favorability poll conducted before Trump was found guilty on 34 felony counts in his New York hush money trial, they asked respondents to rate the two nominees on a scale of -5 to +5. Overall, both President Biden and Trump had similar favorability ratings, but Trump had more extreme views. So
I would say so.
When I look at a story like that, I hope that if people realize that he has more extreme views, that will mean something to them.
We just have to hope that it's the pocket of Nikki Haley voters, those independents. That's who we're looking at. We're looking at these, really close races in places like Georgia and stuff like that are going to matter. It's going to matter who he also chooses as his running mate. So, I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine having a good favorability over convicted felon Donald Trump, but we'll see. Again, there's a lot of time between now and November.
Mm-hmm.
A lot can happen. Unfortunately, I think as far as like court cases and anything like that really being decided, of course, we have the sentencing coming up, which again, I think it's going to be more of a slap on the wrist than anything else. But we'll see.
Yeah. All right, bring me your food. What do you got? Friday foodies.
This is not it's a restaurant story in all honesty, and it's a really quick question. But I saw this in SF Gate, and the restaurant business obviously after COVID took a really hard hit, right? And so people, DoorDash and food delivery was trying to keep them going, and then of course the parklets, which it's some of them are staying, some of them are going, depending on how you want to pay and how much that costs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently there's this other thing that has been happening a lot lately, and it's reservation cancellations. Okay, now have you ever had to pay if you canceled a reservation
At a restaurant?
At a restaurant? And how would you feel if you had to?
I've not at a restaurant. I've had to do that at a hotel.
I've had to do that at like a hair salon, like if I had to booking, like, okay. Or, for instance, if my kids has a sporting appointment, like a sport for their sport, and they can't show up, but it's like a one time a week thing. If the coach is there, you got to pay, right?
Right.
And those sorts of things. But when it comes to restaurants, should you do it? So
no, as a matter of fact, you can make a reservation on Open Table.
That's what I was
you can
say,
make two or three of them, depending on whatever time you show up, if you so chose. I always try to call if I'm not coming.
Right.
So that they can open that table up for someone else.
Well, a lot of restaurants are saying that a lot of people are doing what you just said, which is making multiple reservations, seeing which one you're going to keep, and then not informing the restaurant.
Not cool.
Well, there was this one person on Yelp that gave a terrible review for this restaurant called Lily. Okay. Apparently Lily has a reservation cancellation fee of $15 per person. So if it's just two people, it's $30, right? If it's more, obviously it's more money. But that's only if it's less than an hour. So if you call after, 2 hours before, okay, no reservation cancellation. Do you think that that's fair? Because this person left a 1-star Yelp review saying that they went in person to cancel the reservation, but it was under an hour. And the person at the table was like, well, sorry, you still have to pay. I just kind of feel like restaurants save tables. They bring in people. As someone who used to work in a restaurant, I understand, like, if you have a server that's depending on, let's say, a 10 top, right? 10 people at a table, and then they cancel at the last minute, you forego other tables. You said, I don't want to take tables because I'm prepping for this table. Now all of a sudden you're out that money. And I just don't think that is fair. And I think people really need to think about these things. Even though COVID is very much in our rearview mirror for many people, it does cost these restaurants money, and they really do take it in the shorts lots of times.
What makes me sad is that we have to threaten people with money and charge people money in order to make them be conscientious members of society.
Exactly.
Right? You should know the person's trying to run a business. Exactly. You should know that if you reserve tables, that means no spot for someone else. It means no tip for a wait staff. It means all kinds of things to the restaurant that aren't favorable. So, just to be you and not realize that there's another party involved, so selfish.
Exactly.
On the other hand, there are so many restaurants out there that if they're going to make me put a credit card into Open Table, maybe I'm just moving on to the next one.
That's an excellent point. That is a very good point. Like, how comfortable would I be, or would I look for another restaurant that did that? I guess on one hand, it could make me feel like, oh, I got to get my reservation in. Kind of that oh, it's so desired that I need to actually book it with a credit card. On the other hand, if I don't want my payment information on another freaking website that's going to get hacked in a month, right?
Right.
I might not want to do that. So it's one for the other. But I think that just being aware of how much, a simple thing like calling a little bit ahead. Yeah. I understand it. If I got in a car accident, and I'm like calling from the hospital, I would hope that they would waive it. But I don't think like $15 per person is that high of a bar.
If I'm getting in a car accident, I'm not worried about $15.
Exactly.
I have bigger fish to fry, right?
That is a very, very good point. Let's leave it at that. All right, you guys, have a very happy weekend. Thank you guys for being here. We have a goal of hitting 5,000 subscribers. So please tell your friends, grab their phones, tell them you have to check out the Nikki Maduro Show. If you watch us on the other platforms, because this show airs not only on YouTube Live, but on Instagram and on Facebook, make sure you head on over to YouTube and subscribe to the show here, because that's another way of helping grow the show. Click the thumbs up button. That's another way. Hit that bell so you don't miss a moment of the Nikki Maduro Show. And thank you to everybody that donates, because your donations are what really keep this show going. So go to thenikkimaduroshow.com. The Patreon link is right there. We haven't set a bar of how much people have to donate to be part of our Madorable Club, but whatever you can afford one time a month, we really do appreciate it. It goes directly into my pocket and Kim's pocket. You know, talk about slim margins. That's what the show is. PayPal donations, just go to paypal.com, hit the send button, and then just put in the email address, thenikkimaduroshow@gmail.com, thenikkimaduroshow@gmail.com. And we love PayPal so much. And then it's summertime, barbecue time. So please support our sponsor, Auntie Tabby's Island Flavors. Go to auntietabbies.com. You see it right there on your screen. The link is also in our show notes. And if you use the coupon code NIKKIM, NIKKIM, you get 10% off every time you order. And you get what? You get the hibiscus hot sauce. You get the pineapple hot sauce. You get the guava barbecue sauce. And you can't go wrong with any of them. You can get a max pack that has all of them in them. You're going to go through them like that. So Nick Kim is the coupon code, and it helps support our show as well. All right. Hopefully it gets a little bit cooler, but it's summertime. It's going to stay hot. So everybody stay cool. We love you, and we'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.